Hello, welcome to the Union Pacific Railroad Geneva Subdivision in N-scale. My name is Daryl Cruz, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for episode 2 of season 2020. This episode is an update video on River Forest. This is the final update on River Forest because River Forest is close to, if not 100% complete. So I wanted to do one final update to show how River Forest looks and also to kind of get an idea of the level of detail I'm hoping to achieve on all the areas on the Geneva sub. One of the first things we want to do though is to see a few trains running through the completed area. We'll be doing a few more things here, but for now it's, I think, pretty much 100% complete. Here we see a manifest train going through as well as a double stack. This project began way back in 2014 when we first moved to Atlanta and planning began on the new Geneva sub. On our first trip back to Illinois to visit family, I made a quick trip to River Forest to take some pictures as well as some measurements. After studying the pictures and consulting Google Maps, I came up with a list of things needed on the layout to accurately model the area. The list included elevated tracks above street level with retaining walls on both sides. The underpass connecting both sides with a road. Asphalt platforms. A station house. Post and wire protecting passengers from walking across the tracks. The covered passenger canopy as well as the enclosed passenger shelter. Salt bins that they use to keep the platform salted during the winter months. The tunnel leading from Hawthorne Avenue to the middle platform stairs. And the track arrangement going from two tracks in Maywood to 3 tracks in River Forest. Work on the project began in 2015 when I did the bench work and the road bed for this area. Made sure the road bed was elevated the right height and was wide enough to accommodate the platforms as well as the grassy area that is around the track. As you can see, River Forest is right next to the staging yards. And then it stayed that way for a couple of years until 2017 when I used green wire for the ground cover and also put in the retaining wall using masonite and also used some plywood for where the roads would go. Also in 2017, I put down the plaster and painted the scenery and put ground foam down. Again, this was in 2017. I also put the trees around the opening in the wall. And then finally in 2017, I ballasted the track and put in the backdrop. Also added the station. And again, it's stayed that way from 2017 up until 2020 when this kit came out from Walthers, which was a perfect match for what I wanted to do in River Forest. At the same time, Walthers also came out with a retaining wall kit, which again closely matched the retaining wall that I wanted to do in River Forest. So that got me motivated to begin work again on River Forest after a almost 3-year hiatus. And this is what we ended up with, the finished product in River Forest. As you can see, the retaining wall kit is installed as well as the underpass kit. Also put in the streets. That is Hawthorne Avenue that runs along the retaining wall on the south side of the tracks. And I used JTT trees there along the retaining walls. I had those for a long time and really wasn't sure where I was going to use them, but they worked perfectly for this particular area where they have some small trees planted along the retaining wall. Also included the tunnel that goes from Hawthorne Street under the tracks and then comes up through the stairs on the middle platform. Also put in telephone poles along the right-of-way and along the retaining wall. Again, you can see that this area is the first modeled area next to the east staging yard. So those staging yards there represent all the areas in Chicago, east of River Forest. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the way everything turned out. I was able to put in a lot of details. You can see the covered canopy there on the lower right-hand corner. That's an Atlas kit that I modified for this area. I also modeled the salt dispensers. You have the yellow ones next to the canopy and then a couple of white ones, one next to the stairs that come up. And then I scratch built the enclosed shelter there for passengers. I modeled not only the streets on the south side, but I also just put together something very simple on the north side, just so that it doesn't look empty there. That's really not viewed very much, but in case somebody does look over the tracks, you can see that it is modeled. I took a couple of pictures to give you a little bit more idea of how it looks in close detail, and you can see a lot of the more finer details. So again, I think it came out pretty good. It's not an exact match. The station is probably where it doesn't match the most. I used a kit. I think that's another Walther's kit. Of course, you can't have a metro station without a couple of metro trains coming through. Here we have an eastbound metro train coming to a stop in River Forest. The street lights are from Fowler. Those again are not an exact match for this metro station, but are typical of American street lights. And then now we have a westbound Metra train coming to a stop. The metro trains are always facing away from Chicago. I think that has something to do with the station in Chicago, so that the locomotives don't run all the way through the station, but instead are on the outside of the station. And now the original eastbound Metra train is taking off. I'm not sure how long the Metra trains actually stop at a station. Some of you viewers out there who are Metro riders, it'd be helpful if you could let me know how many minutes would be an average stop at a station. But we do have both of them now departing the River Forest. If you look really closely on this view, you can see the tiny little post in between the tracks. And I actually did put some wire using Easy Wire, which is an elastic wire that you can use. It's hard, if not impossible, to see the wire from this vantage point. But if you look at some of the other views, you can see there actually is a wire as well as the post. I'm pretty sure that's put there to prevent the passengers from going across the tracks from one platform to the other. So we'll finish this video up with a manifest train going through. Again, this is about 100% complete. And now I'm going to move on to working on roads in Rochelle, so you can look forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you root for the Chiefs tomorrow in the Super Bowl. Till the next video, have a great time with the greatest hobby of all, model trains, especially in N scale.